So it's Halloween, or even if it's not when you're watching this, maybe you're just in the mood for something a little spooky on your PlayStation Portal. Either way, I've got you covered with some of the best scary games you can stream right now through the cloud streaming beta. I'll be honest, I'm not usually into really scary games. I don't do well with full-on nightmare fuel, as it literally gives me nightmares. Yes, I am that guy. But all of these, I think I can handle. And I think you'll have a blast with them too. So grab your Portal, dim the lights if you're brave, and let's jump into some creepy, weird, and totally awesome horror games you can play anywhere right now on your Portal. If you love tense psychological horror that really gets under your skin, this is the one. Silent Hill 2 is a complete remake of the PlayStation 2 classic. Who had this on PlayStation 2 back in the day? It's probably like 20 years ago now. Sound off in the comments if you had a PS2. This game is rebuilt from the ground up with modern visuals, controls, and new sound design. Everything about it still feels deeply unsettling. Like, who remembers the fog everywhere in the streets in the original? Well, we've got that here. Fog everywhere. The creature designs are creepy as anything. Even the quiet moments when nothing happens just gets into the back of your mind. That's what makes it all so effective. It's a single player experience with multiple endings, so depending on how you play and what choices you make, you'll see completely different outcomes. And honestly, that replayability gives it an edge over a lot of other horror titles that can be one and done. Now, if you're more into classic slasher flicks, this one's perfect for you. 8 friends, a remote mountain lodge, and well, something very wrong lurking in the dark. I mean, what could go wrong? What makes Until Dawn special is how your decisions literally shape the story. If a character dies, that's it. They're gone. They're bye-bye. And the game just keeps going without them. It's tense, brutal, and surprisingly emotional. The cast is great too. You've got Rami Malek in there, and I think I'll say this name right, Hayden Panettiere, is that correct? Let me know in the comments. And a bunch of other big names before they were huge stars. It's technically a single player game, but one of the best ways to play is with friends or family, passing the DualSense around whenever control switches to another character. It turns this into a chaotic, jumpy movie night that's honestly one of the most fun ways to experience this game. And that's the best way to describe it. It is like an interactive movie, well worth checking out. Now, I know earlier we spoke about PS2. We're going even more retro now. Yes, PlayStation 1. We're going back to Resident Evil 2 and 3 Nemesis. 2 survival horror icons. Who doesn't love Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3? Both are now playable through the Premium Classics catalogue. These are the games that defined what survival horror is all about. And even though they're older, they still totally hold up, especially on the Portal smaller screen where they look really sharp. Creepy corridors, limited ammo, and that constant tension of not knowing what's around the next corner, especially with all these fixed camera angles. It just works so well. Personally, I found these ones way more enjoyable than the original Resident Evil. Maybe because they're not quite as scary and a bit more action-packed. And honestly, that's probably why I like them more, let's be honest. But Resident Evil 2 gives you 2 full campaigns and bonus missions like the Fourth Survivor and Tofu Survivor, while Resident Evil 3 adds a faster paced mode called the Mercenaries Operation Mad Jackal. If you've never gone back to the origins of the T-Virus, these are must plays. And like I say, they look surprisingly good on the Portal screen. They kind of look like the way you remember them. Just the tank controls will take a little bit of getting used to, but once you do get used to them, trust me, it's a blast. Now we're on to a hidden gem here, Crow Country, which is a love letter to the games we were just talking about, old school PlayStation horror games from the 90s. Think tank controls, fixed camera angles, and chunky low poly visuals, but with modern options that make it feel smoother to play. It's got that nostalgic charm but feels fresh, with clever puzzles, exploration, and a ton of atmosphere. And I really like how it lets you pick how you want to play. There's a standard survival mode, but also an exploration mode with no enemies at all, believe it or not, which is perfect if you just want to vibe without all the stress of the zombies. Or If you're braver than me, you can crank it up to Murder of Crows difficulty. Now, if you liked the original Resident Evil games we've just spoke about back in the day, but maybe you don't want to revisit them because you've already played them, definitely check this one out. It is like a modern day love letter to the Resident Evil games of the 90s. Now, if all this talk of creepy corridors and psychological horror is getting a bit much for you, I don't blame you. Me too. That is where Dead Island 2 comes in. It is our perfect palate cleanser. It's still horror, but it's over the top, gory and hilarious. You're slicing and smashing your way through zombie infested LA, or as the game calls it, Hell A. The combat is ridiculously fun thanks to its super detailed dismemberment system. That is a tongue twister, but when you play this you'll see what I mean when you're chopping these bad guys up. And yes, it is as gross as it sounds, and it plays beautifully through the Portal via cloud streaming. It's got a surprisingly long and entertaining campaign, tons of side missions, and you can even play online co-op with up to 2 friends, which makes it an absolute blast. It's basically horror, but with sunshine and sarcasm. What's not to love? Now, you can't talk about intense, emotional, horror type PlayStation games without mentioning The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. It's less about jump scares and more about the emotional horror of what people become when the world falls apart. The performances, story and environments are incredible, and it looks amazing on the Portal's 1080p LCD display. The remaster adds a new roguelike mode called No Return. There's full DualSense support, so you get all that awesome feedback from the controller, upgraded visuals. So even if you have played the original one before, it's absolutely worth revisiting this now. Now, The Last of Us Part 1 is also up there to play on the game catalogue, but I think Part 2 is probably darker and scarier. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Next up, we've got Man of Medan, the first entry in the Dark Pictures anthology. If you liked Until Dawn, this is basically the kind of next evolution of that idea. A ghost ship, 5 main characters, and choices that can literally kill any of them off. Every decision shapes how the story unfolds and who makes it out alive. It's also one of the few horror games that works really well in multiplayer. There's a movie night mode where up to 5 people each control a character, a shared story mode for 2 players online, and the curator's cut, which lets you replay scenes from other characters' perspectives. It's super polished, super cinematic, and has plenty of jump scares to keep you on edge without just being completely unbearable. Not gonna lie, when I played this, I found it shit scary. It was so creepy. So if you love this, there are other games from the Dark Pictures anthology on PlayStation Plus 2 for you brave people to check out. All these scary games play really well on the Portal and get super immersive playing in the dark with this thing just sitting right in front of your face. Get a good headset on and seriously, it is well creepy. Especially the older Resident Evil games, they look fantastic on the smaller screen. Makes it look super sharp and makes them look the way you remember them. And if you want to make sure all your games run as smoothly as possible on your Portal, check out this next video on screen where I show a few simple tweaks to boost your Portal's performance, where you'll notice the difference right away.